Hey guys, Communications Director Chris Mosier here. What fun this afternoon, and a great big crowd of at least 5,000 people at Pan American Park in East Austin for a Stop ICE rally, one of hundreds of similar events continuing to happen over this weekend across the country. What follows is a largely unedited presentation of the rally today, featuring the Reverend Dr. Daryl Horton of Mount Zion Baptist Church in Austin, Fort Worth State Rep Ramon Romero, Austin immigration attorney Ruth Gindel, testimony from Texas mom Evelyn, whose husband Francisco has been disappeared by ICE, Austin community advocate David Cincanchin, followed by Austin Congressman Casar, a rare joint appearance by the Castro twins, Congressman Joaquin Castro and his brother and Obama administration HUD Secretary Julian Castro. Joaquin lately is the one with the beard. Then Austin State Rep and gubernatorial candidate Gina Hinojosa, and the headliner this afternoon, Austin State Rep and U.S. Senate candidate James Talarico. I'm including a time index of all of these speakers in the show notes for your handy reference. And here we go. First voice you'll hear here is MC and Austin City Council member Qadri.
Hey, good afternoon, everyone. Austin, when I say no more, you say secret police. No more. Secret police. No more. Secret police. When I say mask, you say off. Mask. Off. Mask. Off. Austin, thank you for being here today. Thank you for standing in the cold, in the wind, and choosing solidarity today. I'm Council Member Qadri. I'm proud to represent District 9 on the Austin City Council. I want you to take a moment and look around. We didn't gather here for convenience. We are here because something is profoundly wrong. Across this country, people are being taken away from our streets by masked agents in unmarked vehicles. They wait outside schools, outside hospitals. They arrest people who are doing everything right, following the law, raising families, going to work. They are detaining American citizens, and in some cases, they're killing people in broad daylight. Let's be clear about what this is. This is not about public safety. This is not justice. This is state violence, and we refuse to accept it as normal. Immigration enforcement has been weaponized into a system of fear. Fear designed to keep people silent. Fear designed to isolate neighbors from one another. Fear designed to make people believe they are alone. But Austin knows better. We believe in a country where no one is disappeared for existing, where families are not ripped apart by policy choices, where dignity is not something you earn, it is something you are born with, and where the government is accountable to the people, not the other way around. We're not here just to express outrage, we're here to draw a line. A line that says this has gone too far. A line that says our neighbors deserve safety, not terror. A line that says silence is complicity, and we refuse both. Today, you'll hear from elected leaders, organizers, and individuals who are living with the consequences of this violence every single day. And we're going to begin the way every real movement begins, by listening to voices grounded in values, in truth, and in moral courage. Because change doesn't start in the halls of power, it starts right here with people who refuse to look away. So I'd like to call up our first speaker, Reverend Daryl Horton, Reverend Dr. Daryl Horton. He's the pastor of Mount Zion Baptist Church right here in Austin, Texas. Austin, give it up for Reverend Daryl Horton.
Good afternoon to everyone. For those of you who will, would you bow with us for a brief moment of prayer? God, we gather today as a community with concerns and challenges on our minds. We gather today to ask for your wisdom and guidance as we seek to support and strengthen one another. Thank you for the conviction that will not allow us to remain silent. Thank you for the faith that allows us to see hope and promise in the midst of despair. Thank you for the love that allows us to advocate and stand up for our neighbor, to be a voice for those who are not being heard. We pray for peace, protection, and vision during our time together today. It is in your name we pray. Amen. Let me also say while we're here that today we are gathered because our nation is under an extreme ice warning. Similar to what we experienced here in Central Texas earlier this week with the weather, across our nation in states like Minnesota, ice is causing the disruption of lives, the division of communities, fear to the extent that persons are afraid to leave their homes, families are being separated and stranded, and lives are unnecessarily being taken. The climate is unstable. There's a lack of reliable and consistent information, and people are looking desperately for leadership and for solutions. I'm also here to remind you that this extreme ice warning is a crisis, and it's a wake-up call for the church, for the body of believers. In the same way that work crews responded to the challenging conditions of our roads, the church and disciples must respond, and that is with salt. When conditions get severe, work crews salt the ice to lower the freezing temperature of the water on the roads and reduce the impact of ice. The same can be done with us as a church through our commitment to be the salt of the earth. Matthew chapter 5, Jesus tells his disciples to be the salt of the earth. We are to be the presence of righteousness, of love, of justice. We must be present, vocal, and visible to love our neighbor, to stand for what is right, and shine a light in dark places. Family, we have gathered together today to remind ourselves that silence is not an option. We must speak up, we must stand up, and we must be the salt of the world.
Great. Our next speaker is the chairman of the Mexican American Legislative Caucus, the son of immigrants. Austin, join me in welcoming Chairman Ramon Romero.
What's up, Austin? What's up, Austin? Show me your voices, show me your fight. Where are you at, Austin? Esta es la casa de la lucha. Esta es la lucha. With me. ¿Quién está listo para luchar? Yo. ¿Quién está listo para luchar? Yo. Look around, y'all. Look at these murals on these walls. Feel their pain. Everything on the walls, the colors. There's a lot of red. There's a lot of orange. There's fire. Who feels that fire in their heart right now? There's blood. Because blood is being spilt right now by parents and children. I want to speak to all the first-generation immigrants that are in the crowd today. Raise your hand if you're a first-generation immigrant. Keep your hand in the air if you've ever had a parent locked up in a detention facility. Because I have. For 11 months, my father, Ramon Romero Sr., was in a detention facility in Laredo, Texas. And what I remember most is not the phone calls with him. It was going home to see my mom, Cuca. Y la señora llorando. My mom crying for her viejito because he's not there. And all the kids crying, not crying, we weren't crying that much. But we felt all the pain and witnessing our own mother, and I see your pain right now because it sounds like you've seen the same thing. No child in this country, after everything that we fought for, especially in this city, should be feeling that pain again. Every one of you should be proud of the phone calls that you've made to free Liam Ramos, because it was because each and every single one of you and everybody around the country that said, hell no! Hell no! So when we say ice out in Spanish, we say fuera! 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 Fuera ice! All that passion that you're feeling right now, it's not even cold out here anymore. I should take this jacket off. We need it. All the way to November. Some of us are asking, what do I do right now? And yeah, you did it today. You showed up. And you're around somebody. Look around. Tell somebody right next to you, I love you for being here today. I love you, man. I love you, ma'am. I love you. I love you. I adore you. You're my friend and I don't even know you. But I love you. And you know what else? I need you. I need you, neighbor. And when you go home, even though your neighbor, literal neighbor, might not be here, you let them know how you felt today when you left here today. Passion, energized, feeling the pain, fire in your heart, blood running through you, and you're ready to go do something with it. Who's with me? Ice, fuera! Ice, fuera! Thank y'all, Ramon Romero, State Representative. Thank y'all. And thank y'all to my colleagues, John Busey, Vicki Goodwin, Cheryl Goodwood, Cheryl Cole, your district, damn near. And y'all know who's coming up. I am so honored to have all these folks back behind Gina Hinojosa here, Congressman Castro. Did y'all hear what he had to say when he left that place? Did y'all feel his pain? You're going to see it again. Thank y'all for being here today, everybody. We love you.
Great. We have a leader in public defense. Ruth has represented individuals in the state and federal systems and led organizations specializing in immigrant defense. Let's hear it from Ruth Gindel.
Wow, it is awesome to be with all of you here this afternoon in the capital of our great state of Texas. Thank you for being here. I heard you. I will speak louder. Is this better? Okay. I am the daughter of immigrants. Immigrants who came to the United States 50 years ago and moved to Texas with a big dream to build a better life for themselves and their family. I am also a public defender. For almost 15 years, I've represented people charged with immigration crimes at the U.S.-Mexico border. People who oftentimes have the same dream as my parents, but instead, their dreams are treated as if they are criminals. Too often, our leaders use law enforcement and the criminal justice system to try to solve complex humanitarian problems. We see this with the housing crisis, we see this with mental health issues, and we see this with immigration. They think that arresting and jailing is the answer. No. We all know better. We know it is not the answer. Public defenders are often on the front lines of holding law enforcement accountable. It's a duty that we have under the Constitution to file motions and make challenges in court when we see our clients' constitutional rights being violated. But that duty doesn't end with us. It applies to everyone here and everyone in this country because we, the people, need to hold our government accountable. And we've never needed to do so more than now with ICE. It is urgent. We need to hold them accountable now. They claim ICE is enforcing our laws. They say ICE is making our communities safer. But we see protesters being shot and pepper sprayed, and we know that people in ICE detention are dying. Tell me something. Is that making any of us feel safe? They say they're going after people who aren't following the rules. But we see asylum seekers going to their government-ordered appointments and court hearings only to be separated from their families, arrested, and deported. Is that making any of us feel safe? They say they're going after gang members, but we see fathers being separated from their families and sent to a torture camp in El Salvador, labeled a gang member simply because of a tattoo on their body. Is that making us feel more safe? Believe your eyes. Believe what you see. This isn't about safety. This is about stoking fear and destroying communities. It's time that we use our voice to demand change, to demand that we stop attacking immigrants, and we stop now. I leave you with this, and please do not forget it. This is a nation built by immigrants. This is a nation powered by immigrants. This is a nation fed by immigrants. This is a nation cared for by immigrants. This is a nation raised by immigrants. This is a nation bettered by immigrants. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Amrutha. Our next speaker is Evelyn, a woman whose husband, Francisco, was taken by ICE in Texas and her children. Evelyn? Great. Everyone, welcome Evelyn to the stage.
Hola, mi nombre es Evelyn, soy esposa de Francisco desde hace 15 años, tenemos 3 hijos, el mayor es sobreviviente a cáncer de linfoma, la más pequeña fue diagnosticada con diabetes tipo 1 hace 1 año y nuestros 3 hijos sufren de asma.
Hello, my name is Evelyn. I've been married to Francisco for 15 years. We have 3 children. My oldest is a lymphoma cancer survivor. My youngest was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes a year ago, and all 3 of my children suffer from asthma.
Nuestra familia estaba más unida que nunca, más feliz y viviendo nuestra vida normal, concentrados en nuestros planes a futuro. Y la familia de repente, un día 2 de diciembre del 2025,
Our family was closer than ever, happier and living our normal life, focused on future plans in our family, and then suddenly, December 2nd, 2025.
un día fue a poner gasolina para dirigirse a su trabajo. En ese llegó un policía atrás de él y le dijo que le inventó que una luz estaba fundida, cuando era mentira. Solo lo hizo para llamar a ICE y entregarlo. Mi esposo no es un criminal, mi esposo no tiene antecedentes y desde el día 2 de diciembre él está encerrado en el sur de Texas.
It was a normal day. My husband got up to work. He was going to get gas. He called me and was telling me he wouldn't be late that day, when suddenly he said, "Wait for me, a police officer is here." They made up that his light was out. They stopped him and he hung up.
Me alisté rápido para ir a su locación. Cuando llegué al lugar ya no estaba. Desde ese día empezó nuestra desesperación y dolor. Ese mismo día se comunica y en el consulado mexicano lo localizan. Me dice que será llevado al sur de Texas al día siguiente a la cárcel a la detención de Person, Texas. Y de repente desapareció del sistema.
That same day, he spoke, and the Mexican consulate located him and told me he would be taken to South Texas the next day. It showed that he was being held in Pearsall, Texas, and then suddenly he disappeared from the system.
Llamaba al centro de detención, no me daban razón. Me decían que llamara a un número y jamás nadie me contestó. Hasta el día 5 de diciembre que recibí una llamada de un miembro del hospital diciendo que vieron a mi esposa en el hospital de San Antonio y iba muy mal. Busqué la información del hospital y llamaba, jamás me dijeron nada. Llamaba al centro de detención y nadie me daba información. Fueron 16 días en los que mis hijos y yo llorábamos por no saber nada de mi esposo.
I called the detention center. They wouldn't give me any information. They just kept saying I was calling this number. I called and no one ever answered. Until May 12, 2020, until December 5th, 2025, when I received a call from a relative telling me that he had seen my husband at a hospital in San Antonio and that he was in very bad shape. I looked for information about the hospital. I called and they never told me anything. I called the detention center and they gave me no information whatsoever. And it went for 16 days, during which my children and I cried because we didn't know anything about my husband.
Hablar con recursos humanos del hospital llorando por información. Solo me decían, llama a ICE. Tenemos prohibido dar información. Y de repente recordé que tenía acceso al portal del paciente de mi esposo, donde salió que tenía una fuerte neumonía, taquicardia, presión alta. Yo solo podía ver sus chequeos vitales cada ciertas horas y medicamentos, procedimientos que empezaron a someterlo.
I asked to speak to Human Resources, where I begged and cried to find anything about my husband. And their response was, call ICE. We are forbidden from giving you any information. I suddenly remembered that I had access to my husband's patient portal, where it showed that he had severe pneumonia, tachycardia, and very high blood pressure. I could only see his vital signs every few hours, his medications, and the procedures that they had put him through.
ICE destruyó a mi familia, nos arrebató a mi esposo, dejándonos desamparados, donde lo único que estaba haciendo mi esposo ese día 2 de diciembre era poner gasolina para ir a trabajar como todos los días. Mi esposo no es criminal, es un hombre trabajador, padre y esposo. Hace poco le negaron la fianza a mi esposo y solo nos queda someter a algo llamado habeas corpus para poder liberarlo. Yo siendo afectada y corriendo con todos los gastos de mi hogar sola, No tengo los recursos para poder someterlo rápido y tener a mi esposo lo más pronto posible en nuestro hogar. Y ahora con ICE en la ciudad ya no podemos salir sin miedo, ya que no respetan, si eres ciudadano residente o con algún permiso válido para estar aquí. No les importa y te secuestran y llevan.
ICE destroyed my family. It stole my husband from us, leaving us destitute. All my husband was doing that day, December 2nd, was getting gas to go to work. My husband is not a criminal. He's a hardworking man, a father, and a husband. My husband was recently denied bail, and our only option is to file something called a writ of habeas corpus to get him released. Bearing all the household expenses alone, I don't have the resources to file it quickly and have my husband back as soon as possible. And now, with ICE in the city, we can no longer go without fear, since they don't respect whether you're a citizen, resident, or have any valid permit to be here in the country. They don't care, and they kidnap you and take you away anyways. The city and the country have become total chaos, and as someone affected, I demand freedom for my husband, freedom for everyone unjustly detained, and that ICE withdraw from the city and the country and truly focus on criminals, not innocent, hardworking people. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Evelyn. Next, we have David Cincanchin, a community advocate who grew up in an immigrant family right here in Austin and is an organizer for Workers' Defense. Let's all welcome David.
Good afternoon, friends. What do we want? When? What do we want? When? What do we want? When? Yes. All right. Well, good afternoon. Like many of you, I am filled with indignation today, but I am also happy to be here, to look out on this crowd and see so many caring people, to join you today as we come together to send a clear message that we will not sit idly by as federal and state politicians rain down injustice upon our families, upon our neighbors, our friends, and our communities. My name is David Cincanchin. I grew up in an immigrant family here in Austin, in a vibrant immigrant neighborhood in Austin called Dove Springs. And throughout my life, I have listened as leaders in the highest offices in business and politics and other fields have questioned the place of immigrant families and immigrant workers in American society. No more. I have watched as this vitriolic rhetoric that is meant to diminish the lives and contributions of immigrants has taken the shape of real-world violence, as it did in 2019, when a white supremacist echoing the hate-filled anti-immigrant words of President Trump drove hundreds of miles to El Paso and ended 23 beautiful, innocent lives based on nothing but the color of their skin. That hatred and violence takes forms that are even more insidious. That hatred and violence is directly transcribed into the policies that govern and oppress our daily lives. They have manifested themselves in immigration and legal systems that tear families apart and terrorize our communities. They have appeared in slashes to our public schools, and they have been reflected in the exclusion of immigrant communities and essential workers from access to life-saving services. Unfortunately, this is not a thing of the past. It is playing out across our country, it is happening to us, and it is happening today. That hatred manifests itself in countless other ways. But one way we are seeing clearly today is in the enormous and heartless slashes to our healthcare system that you and I and our families all depend on. Republicans in DC are gutting our healthcare, knowing people will suffer, people will die, in order to increase ICE's budget. They are putting They are putting the most vulnerable in harm's way to pay for those military weapons that they are wielding in our streets and to offer $50,000 signing bonuses to ensure that they are recruiting even the most inexperienced and the most untrained agents. ICE's actions are making us all less safe. ICE is not about public safety. It is a masked, militarized, secret police that is violating our most fundamental constitutional rights. Taking children off the street and executing Americans in broad daylight does not make a single one of us safer. The brutal killing of Alex Preddy has and should send a frightful chill down America's spine, and it should help us understand just how low we've fallen. So I will leave you with this. Our immigrant brothers and sisters, our immigrant families are bearing the brunt of this violence and this injustice. But this fight is not just about those immigrant families. They need us. We need to be there for them. We need to fight for them and support them in that bravery and courage that they are showing that is on display even today. But they are also coming after our due process, our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression, our freedom to protest, freedom of assembly, our protections from undue and search and seizures. These are the rights that underpin our democracy. These are the foundations of our democracy. If we don't have those, we don't have a democracy. So yes, come out, continue to fight for your immigrant neighbors, continue to fight for yourself and for your families, continue to fight for all of us. We all have a role in this movement. Continue to show up like you did today. March today, march tomorrow, march the next day, and the next day until we put an end to this for good.
Austin, Texas, let me hear you. When I say mask, you say off. Mask. 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 Mi raza, les presento a Greg Casar next. Thank you.
Buenas tardes, Austin, Texas. To the folks up on the parking garage, out to the folks in the baseball field, and all of you, I'm Greg Casar, and I'm so proud to represent you in the United States Congress. And we are here to demand in one voice an end to Donald Trump's mass deportation machine. No more. No more ICE terrorizing Minneapolis. No more ICE terrorizing Austin. No more. No more killings like Renee Goods or Alex Preddy. No more arresting our veterans and our families and folks going to work. No more deporting and terrorizing families like Evelyn's. No more. No more masked agents without badges and without warrants arresting people at our schools and our churches and our courthouses. No more. No more. No more. No more. And no more blank checks to Trump's mass deportation machine. That's why last week I voted hell no on ICE's budget. And that's why, thanks to you all making noise, the Republican plan to juice up ICE's budget is in total disarray. They're having to bring a vote back to the House on Monday, where again I'll be voting hell no. Now, it's so important for us to get together at this rally and then go talk to millions more people and remind them that when Donald Trump said he was going after the worst of the worst, he lied. He lied. Earlier this week, I went with Congressman Castro down to San Antonio to demand the release of 5-year-old Liam Ramos. You may have seen the picture. Spider-Man backpack, 5-year-old kid taken from his mother and put behind bars. No 5-year-old is the worst of the worst. Austin, I'm glad to tell you that a judge has ordered Donald Trump to release Liam Ramos. And we will get him released. But there are 4,000 children the Trump administration has arrested in the last year. And sadly, these stories aren't just in Minneapolis, they're here in Austin. I'll tell you one, of Annie Lopez Bellosa. She was born in Honduras, but has lived here in East Austin since she was 8 years old. She worked hard, got to know her parents. Her dad's a tailor, her mom a church volunteer. She studied and studied and studied and got a full scholarship to a business college on the East Coast, one of the best business schools in America. And when this last Thanksgiving, she got on a plane to fly back here to surprise her parents, she got detained, she got put in shackles, she was made to sleep on the floor of a detention center, and a judge said not to send her to Honduras. The Trump administration broke the law and sent her to a country she barely remembers. When Trump said he was deporting the worst of the worst, Annie is not that. Annie is one of the best. She's one of us. And let's not forget that Trump has been pardoning his millionaire donors who have been convicted of things like money laundering and fraud. But he wants 5-year-old Liam Ramos in prison? Really? He pardoned the president of Honduras who was convicted of narco trafficking. But he wants Annie to be the one put in shackles? Really? He pardoned January 6th rioters who attacked police officers. But he says that moms like Renee Good or nurses like Alex Preddy are the terrorists. That is insanity. That is violent. That is so freaking unnecessary. Immigrants are not the danger. Politicians like Donald Trump are. The corporations that fund him are. And the coward politicians who refuse to say anything about it are the danger in this country. So right now, the question before us is, what can we do? Because it's not going to be politicians that come and save us. It's going to be the community who does that. There's something we can all do. It starts with coming to protests like this, getting involved in the organizations around here and Yet You Heard speak. Join an ICE watch group. Just this last week, there was a training, 150,000 Americans signed up. Because Donald Trump wants this to happen in the quiet and the dark, but we're getting loud and we're bringing cameras and we're holding them accountable. And then while each of you do your part, we need to demand elected officials do theirs. My position is clear. I will not vote for 1 more cent for ICE or CBP until we end the terror. And now we need all elected officials to commit to the same. Especially Senate Democrats need to hold them accountable. Everyone that represents you needs to do the same. And if they don't, we vote them out. If they keep on locking up our kids and our families, we vote them out. If Cornyn and Paxton and Cruz and Abbott keep taking our taxpayer money to send mass agents into our communities, we vote them out. And if anyone tells you that's not possible, remind them what we got done this last year. We fired Elon Musk. We fired that CBP sicko, Greg Bovino, just last week. And while we're at it, we're going to impeach Kristi Noem. In closing, I want to say something to the folks in the crowd, many of you who I know feel afraid. Many of you who feel afraid every day or every hour that your spouse may not come home from work, that you could be next, worried about your kids or your students or your neighbors, afraid that what happened to Alex Preddy and Nicole Good could happen to someone you love. I cannot guarantee you that everything's going to be okay. But I can guarantee you that Donald Trump and his cronies want that fear to paralyze you because they thrive in the silence and in the darkness. And it is our job to rally through the fear, to march through the darkness, to shout in the silence until we get to the other side of this thing. Am I with y'all? Are you guys with me? Because we're not just going to end Donald Trump's reign of terror. We're not just going to go back to the same broken system that Democrats and Republicans have overseen for decades. We don't have to settle for that on the other side of this. We're going to win immigration reform, legal status, and a pathway to citizenship for the millions of people that have been waiting for years so that Donald Trump and nobody else could ever do this to our people again. We're going to take the billions of dollars they put into that deportation machine and use it for good so that people here in Austin can afford their housing, afford childcare, afford a decent life, afford their health care. How about that, y'all? A future where everyone can be safe and free. We cannot bring back Mr. Preddy or Miss Good, but in honor of their memories, people are rising up to demand a better world. Austin, together, we can build it. I love all of you so very, very much. And next, we're going to call up two of the finest public servants I believe this country has had. My dear friend who led in the Obama administration to bring down housing costs, inspired Latino elected officials all over the country, and his brother, who I believe is the most respected member of the United States Congress, and he has led the charge that successfully is bringing Liam Ramos home. Please, let's hear it for Julian and Joaquin Castro.
Good afternoon, Austin. I needed to get a ride up to Austin today for this incredible rally. I hear there are 5,000 of us here today. So I asked my brother, Julian. He said, if I give you a ride, you have to let me speak for a few minutes. So we're going to share time. Y'all, we are living in an extraordinary time in our country. Every day on the news, we see people's constitutional rights violated. We see the government abusing its own citizens. We have had ICE say that they can go into people's homes without a warrant. They have killed 2 American citizens at least. They have abused children in detention centers in Texas and in other parts of the country. And we are here to say that that is not America, and we won't stand for it. That enough is enough. On Wednesday, I had a chance to go into the Dilley Detention Center and visit with Liam Conejo Ramos and his father, Adrian. And I let them know what so many people from Austin and San Antonio, throughout the country and really around the world have said, that we're praying for him and we love him. And we demand his release. ICE needs to release him immediately. And I was glad to see this morning that a San Antonio judge, Judge Beery, ordered the release of Liam and his dad as soon as possible. But y'all, I want to tell you, these places are no place for kids. You know, Donald Trump talked about going after, in his own words, criminal illegal aliens. And when we got to the meeting with ICE, I asked them how many people have a criminal conviction. And you know what they told me? not a single person of 1,100 has a criminal conviction. There are no criminals in the Dilley Detention Center. And yet, not only was there Liam, a 5-year-old, there was also a 9-year-old named Mateo from Austin, Texas. He and his family were picked up on New Year's Eve, and they spent New Year's Eve getting processed into the Dilley Detention Center. There was a 2-month-old baby who's been held in that prison for several days. So I say that all of those children should be released, that all of those people with no criminal record should be released, that Kristi Noem has abused the Constitution and she should be impeached, and that ICE should be disbanded immediately. But it's not just Donald Trump or Kristi Noem or the Republican Congress that's responsible. Greg Abbott is also an accomplice. I want to tell you something that very few people know and realize. He has hundreds of Texas National Guards, men and women, on assignment there, on deployment, under Operation Lone Star, who are embedded in the detention centers, who do not wear their uniform but are camouflaged in civilian clothes, who are doing deportation work day in and day out. Greg Abbott is as much responsible for the ugly machinery of the detention centers that are holding Liam and the 2-year-old baby and Mateo from Austin. So not only do we need a new Congress and eventually a new president, we also need a new governor, lieutenant governor, senator, attorney general, and all of it. But only you can make that happen. There's no easy way out of this, folks. We're going to have to vote our way out of it in November. Now I want to have my brother. You can see that the easy way to tell us apart is that I have a beard, but he's also a little uglier than I am. I want to have him say a few words. Thank you, Joaquin. He always steals my thunder. So we'll just finish by saying, I want to pick up where he left off, that we have watched over the last year, since January 20th of 2025, we have watched over the last year in horror as this administration has torn down our Constitution, has torn away at our democracy, has abused its citizens, its immigrants, has tried to scare institutions, universities, companies, and the people into silence. I am proud of each and every one of you today for being here and using your voice and standing up to this administration. And today we do that in the name of Renee Good and Alex Preddy and Liam Ramos and his father and every single person who has been trampled upon by this administration. As Joaquin and others have said, the only way in this democracy that we're going to get back to where we need to be is through the people and their voice, their vote. If all of us do our job of showing up, of speaking out, of standing up and voting, and making sure that everybody that we know does, then I look forward to November and that night when they're going to announce that Donald Trump and the Republicans have lost the House of Representatives, they've lost the Senate, he's going to get impeached. They're going to announce that Texas has, for the first time in more than 30 years, a new Democratic senator. And that we have a new Democratic governor, and I want to introduce her, Gina Hinojosa.
I'm running to be the next governor of Texas. I want to speak about the sins of Greg Abbott. Okay, one of the sins of Greg Abbott. We heard from Congressmember Joaquin Castro about his visit to Liam and the circumstances and the conditions that Liam was experiencing. He was not getting the food he needed, not getting the fresh air, he was not getting the exercise, he was in prison. This is a child who was in prison. Anywhere else in the country, this would be prosecuted as child abuse, and only in the state of Texas is it not. And in fact, Greg Abbott decided to license detention centers for children and their parents to be the only state in the union to have these detention centers. The inhumanity and the cruelty of it mimics the inhumanity of the cruelty we see in these ICE raids happening, yes, here in Texas, yes, in Minnesota, all over the country. We have witnessed the brutality and the horror with our own eyes. And there is a saying, you might have heard it, and it goes like this: the cruelty is the point. Have y'all heard that? Well, I don't believe it. What I think is the point, the cruelty is the mask to conceal the corruption. Because let me tell you why we have detention centers in the state of Texas that incarcerate children. It is because Greg Abbott received tens of thousands of dollars from the private prison companies right before he made the decision to create these child detention centers. Since last year, everybody who is detained by one of two private prison companies, Core Civic and Geo Group. Core Civic, yes, boo. Core Civic's biggest investor is BlackRock. You heard of them? They exist to maximize profits, and that is the business model of Core Civic. Geo Group, no different. Exactly the same, and they are who gave $55,000 to the campaign to re-elect Governor Abbott. And when I tried to post about this on TikTok, the new American TikTok that is now owned by Oracle, founded by Larry Ellison, who is a top contributor to the president, I was blocked. We had to post ICE emojis to speak ill of ICE on TikTok because it turns out that American TikTok is more restricted, more censored than even the Chinese TikTok. I have joined in with the chorus about the billionaires taking over. But let me say, at this point, it's like 15 dudes who are taking over. Oracle not only has TikTok, Oracle has the private, they have the military contracts with the federal government. They just got tax subsidies to open up a data center in Abilene. It's the same 15 dudes who are owning everything, the power, the money, and Greg Abbott and the Republican political class are letting it happen. They treat us as subjects. They forgot that we are citizens, and they forgot that we are free, and we know our power. We finally have found our power. They thought that we were going to cower in submission with fear. But people are speaking up. People are turning out. People are winning elections, yes, even in Texas. Yes. Look, let me say, Cy-Fair just flipped 3 school board seats. They were up against millions. Leander, anybody here from Leander? Leander just flipped a city council seat. We know Robstown just flipped a mayor's seat. And today, in Tarrant County, in a race that should not be one that we're paying attention to because it is a gerrymander to be red Republican, the Democrat came in first place and goes into the runoff today. Goes into the runoff today. So don't let them tell you that it can't happen in Texas, because it is already happening in Texas. Look, I made a decision to run for governor against a man who has $100 million. That's not even hyperbole. That's literal. He literally has $100 million. But I do this because I know the power of people. Look at you. We have 9 months. We have 9 months to give this everything we've got. And because government, yes. And let me tell you, it's not just Democrats who want change. Can I tell you, I get text messages from Republicans all over the state, many of them elected, who are telling me new ways to fuck over Greg Abbott. He is not popular. So look, I took this leap of faith because I knew you would catch me. So let's do this together, because the government is authoritarian, but the people are not. The people are free, and together we will make change and usher in a new day in Texas. Well, thank you. Now, it is my honor to introduce this guy you might have heard of. This kid I serve with in the Texas House, who has been a champion for our children and our public schools and for working families. And it is my great pleasure and honor to introduce my colleague, James Talarico.
Thank you, Gina. Thank y'all. Hey, Austin, Texas. Listen, when I was a public school teacher on the west side of San Antonio, I taught undocumented students, and these students were my most patriotic students. They understood something about this country that many of us have taken for granted, that this is supposed to be the land of opportunity. They believe in America even when America doesn't believe in them. ICE is terrorizing my students and their families. ICE shot a mother in the face. ICE kidnapped a 5-year-old boy. ICE executed a man in broad daylight on our streets. It is time to tear down this secret police force and replace it with an agency that is actually going to promote public safety. We must impeach Secretary Kristi Noem. We must prosecute agents who have abused their power. And we must haul these masked men before Congress so the world can see their faces. These masked men are waiting in school pickup lines. They're lurking in hospital waiting rooms. This is not law enforcement. This is something else. They say it's about law and order, but they're waiting outside courthouses, arresting people who are following the law and showing up for their immigration hearings. They say it's about the economy, but they are deporting the very people who keep our economy running. They say it's about illegal immigration, but now they're going after American citizens. This has never been about immigration. This has always been about control. The easiest way to control a population is to keep them afraid, to keep them looking over their shoulder, to keep them in line. Don't draw attention to yourself. Don't speak your mind. Don't criticize the state. Otherwise, you'll be disappeared or even killed. No more secret police. No more disappearing people. This is the United States of America. We're not supposed to fear our government. Our government is supposed to fear us. Self-proclaimed Christians are cheering on as masked men tear children from their parents. If Jesus was here today, they would disappear him into an unmarked vehicle. The most common commandment in the Bible is welcome the stranger. Scripture says we welcome the stranger because we were once strangers. All of us have that immigrant story in our family history somewhere. All of us come from somewhere else. That's the beauty of America. E pluribus unum, out of many, one. America is not mass deportation. America is not masked government agents. America is not arresting journalists and executing people in the street. America is the immigrant. America is the protester. America is the huddled masses yearning to be free. Alex Preddy is America. Renee Good is America. Liam Ramos is America. These brave Americans have been stolen from us. At this moment of crisis, America needs patriots now more than ever. I'm reminded of lyrics by a great American songwriter, John Prine. He said, "I really love America. I just don't know how to get there anymore." It's enough to break your heart. When I'm feeling this way, there's a verse in Scripture that I return to where Jesus says something very strange. He says, "Blessed are you who weep." It's strange because how can someone who's weeping also be blessed? In our culture, we tend to avoid grief, but we forget that grief can be fertile soil. Sometimes we see the world most clearly through our tears. If your heart is breaking right now, it means you still have a heart. Protect that. Trust that. That is what will get us out of all of this. There has never been a more important time to be a human being. Resistance starts right here by refusing by refusing to mirror the hate and the violence and the inhumanity that surrounds us. In a time of shadows, we must shine our light. Like many of you, I am tempted by hopelessness. But then I look out on a crowd of neighbors who have gathered together to save their beloved country. And all of a sudden, I feel a little bit of hope. And a little bit of hope is a dangerous thing. The fact that all of you showed up here today means that you haven't given in to hopelessness. And that means that the bullies haven't won. America needs patriots now more than ever. She needs people like my students who believe in America. She needs people like you who are willing to fight for her. Blessed are you who weep. Thank you for being here. Thank you for being in this fight. God bless y'all. Let's go save our country. Thank you.